delicious. If you want to know how to make this amazing, or should I say yumazing, juicy, fluffy, tasty, chocolatey coffee pecan cake that gets juicier and fluffier by the day as we speak, if you have any left over, that is, then stay tuned. Okay guys, for the dry ingredients we need some flour, and I'm substituting part with chufa flour, and then also I'm substituting a part with nuts. So normally it's 300 grams of flour in this dough. I used 50 grams of whole spelt flour, I think 150 grams of regular spelt flour, so that makes 200. And then 50 chufa, and now I'm adding 100 grams of chopped pecans. There's some brown sugar in there, some baking soda and baking powder, some cocoa, and some sugar. I used brown sugar, pinch of salt, and I may add just a tiny bit of cinnamon, but I want this to be coffee scented, so since I can't find my mortar and pestle, I'm going to dissolve the instant coffee in the plant milk we're using. And I finally ground my pecans, and they're going in the dry ingredients alongside with a tiny pinch of cinnamon, and as you can see here, I reserved some beautiful pecans for garnish. For the wet ingredients, I already prepared my coffee milk, so I used 180 milliliters coconut milk in this case, or coconut drink, and I mixed it with 2 teaspoons of instant coffee and heated it in a microwave. Now I'm going to add some vanilla extract, and here's my plant oil. I'm using only 100 milliliters in this recipe. I'm straying from my basic vegan cake recipe because we already have the walnuts in there and the cream on top, so I don't want this to be too rich. Now carefully mix everything and do not over stir it. Definitely don't ever beat a vegan cake batter. It needs a lot of TLC, otherwise it's going to bite you in the butt. And what I saved in oil, I'm going to have to add back in the form of some plant milk to make this a bit easier to stir. And last but not least, I'm adding my 120 grams of coconut or other plant-based yogurt. All the love is going inside this dough. Since I don't have a man, that's a lot of love, guys. Now, pour this into your baking tin that you've prepared with some parchment paper, because it will be so much easier to lift out the cake once it's done and it needs to be frosted. Let's get to the coffee cream. I imagine that I'm going to make a pudding based on plant milk. I'm going to flavor it with coffee and maple. I have 20 grams of cornstarch here that I'm going to mix with, say 50 mils of this plant milk. And the other 200 mils I will bring to the boil with some coffee powder. Say about 2 more teaspoons. Okay, 210, who cares? And then take you to the stove. While our beautiful coffee pudding cools down, I added a pinch of cinnamon to balance out the flavors. By the way, pecans, maple, and coffee are a match made in heaven. What a divine trinity. And now I'm scraping out the solid parts of a can of coconut milk, just as if you were making vegan whipped cream, and blend it. And we may need to add a bit more maple, but I have to see until we mix it with the pudding. After it's cooled down, then we'll see if we need any additional sweetener. Our dough has just come out of the oven, and now it's time to prepare the coffee cream. Let me just move this for you guys. Okay, the pudding has cooled down. I'm going to give it a stir just to avoid lumps. Nip it in the bud, isn't that what Americans say? I love that one. Nip it in the bud before it happens. Now I'm going to whip my coconut cream. Wow, this one was so firm, almost gave me trouble beating. Now I'm going to mix. So what I'm going to do now is spread my coffee cream onto my cake. Everything has cooled down, and then I'm going to pop it in the freezer quickly so the cream will harden enough for us to pour the yummy ganache on. Don't you hate these people who just pop stuff in their freezer and their freezer is perfectly empty and perfectly clean? My freezer is always so stuffed that I broke 2 of my freezer drawers already, and it's never perfectly clean. So anyway, I'm not going to show you that part. Alright, you guys, now I made a chocolate, well, let's say coating. It's not a ganache. Just by melting some bitter chocolate, 70% cacao, with 1 or 2 teaspoons of coconut oil. And I've just taken my cake out of the freezer. It still hasn't frozen on top. I don't know why it's been in there for an hour, even pressed super frost, but oh well. So the goal is now to pour it on as quickly as possible before it hardens on the cake. Yeah, as you can see, it's quite a challenge. I didn't want to use a super large amount of chocolate because we don't want unnecessary sugar. It's quite a treat already. So you see, it's a bit of a challenge here. Gonna have to... I realize I simply don't have the right equipment, you know, for pastries. So now I'm going to mark my slices with some pecans, as I told you earlier. So let's see how many slices we're going to get out of this. So I really couldn't show you the process of spreading on the ganache because I had to be super quick, so sorry about that. I'm going to airlift this baby out of its tin now and show you what it looks like. And now the big moment I've been waiting for all evening. I know it's still messy and I shouldn't eat any yet, but I just can't wait any longer for these amazing pecan coffee cream chocolate covered little treats here. Let me cut one of those. Actually, they look a bit like Donauwellen, some German cake. And now we're about to taste this for the first time. You won't believe me, but I've never made this before. I just created this in my head today. I thought, what can I do? Something with coffee, cream, walnuts, and I just came up with this recipe. I've never tried it. I have no idea what it tastes like. This is a total experiment. I don't know why I keep doing this with you guys. You know, since I started this channel, I keep having these ideas of things I can make, and I just make them. I don't even try them before I film them. So... let's see. I'll tell you the honest truth. Oh yeah. Wow. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. This is just a bit hard to eat, you know, combination of putting hard chocolate and soft cream. I don't know if it was the smartest idea, but the cake, I'm so happy with the cake. It's not overly sweet, it's totally fluffy, but your pecans are coming through. And then this cold cream, rich, creamy topping and the chocolate to finish it all off. I'm very, very happy with this one. Now, the only thing someone might want to change is if you like it sweeter, then use a 60% cacao chocolate, something like that, or 50% cacao. And of course, you can up the level of maple in the cream. You can up the level of sugar in the cake, but for me, this is perfect. I don't want to regret having 2 slices of this. You know, I kind of try to keep my sugars at 20 grams maximum a day, and this is perfect for my adult level of sweetness, but feel free to adjust. And this wraps up today's edition of this amazing chocolate coffee pecan cake, which I lovingly call a cockroach cake because the pecans on top look like little cockroaches, and it has a creamy coffee filling inside, and it gets really, really fluffy and moist after a few days, so you can definitely keep it. The funny thing is, I don't even drink coffee. You know, I hate coffee. Coffee is bitter. I've never been a coffee drinker. So the only way I like coffee is in combination with chocolate and cake. So any dessert I make with with chocolate, I always add a bit of dried instant coffee that I pulverize in my mortar and pestle. Same thing with alcohol. I would never drink alcohol, but I love rum and desserts, and when I cook, or wine, just for cooking really, and baking. As you can see, I've received some beautiful roses in the meantime from my loving parents. No reason flowers, no reason, no occasion, just to show me some love. So I wonder who will take care of me when they're gone. Let's not think about it. Thank you so much for joining me. Stay safe, you guys, and see you next time on Veggielicious, because Veggielicious is delicious. Bye.